Hello, and welcome back to the Virtual Reality Show, where we talk about any and all things related to virtual reality inside virtual reality. I'm your host, PHIA. This week, I'm going to talk about something very near and dear to my face at this given moment, which is Oculus. As the 2010s have come to a close, Oculus has found itself a place in the households of millions across the world. It's a common name to come up in conversations, and anyone who's ever been interested in VR has probably asked themselves, should I get an Oculus? So how did Oculus go from being non-existent 10 years ago to sitting on the shelves of millions, including myself? Well, it all started when Steve Jobs sat down in his parents' garage. Kidding. It was Palmer Luckey, born in 1992, who set up in his parents' garage, actually. In his 10 years, Luckey fell in love with VR and became actively interested in understanding it, and even began building his own headsets at just 16 years old. Luckey began working as an engineer on VR and mixed reality head displays at California State Long Beach while working towards a journalism degree. During this time, his active interest in VR took him towards the meant-to-be-seen 3D forums, which was a community of online users interested in stereoscopic 3D gaming. Here, Luckey's work was discovered by John Carmack, one of the founders of ID Software and lead programmers on their games Wolfenstein and Doom. Carmack ended up being so impressed with Luckey's prototypes that he showcased a version of Doom 3 using the Oculus at the 2012 E3 convention. Journalists went crazy writing about this groundbreaking technology, and a lot of attention was brought to the Oculus Rift prototype. Until this point, VR did not have an affordable place in the mainstream market. This headset still had some glaring issues, like having a screen door effect as you look through it, but was incredibly better than paying thousands of dollars for a different clunky headset in the market that wasn't nearly as good. Luckey teamed up with Brendan Ereeb and a few others that August to launch a Kickstarter for their new company, Oculus VR. Their goal was set to $250 USD, but the team raised a whopping $2.4 million. The first mass-manufactured prototype headset was the Oculus Development Kit, aka DK1. This version was released in March of 2013 and was intended for programmers who were interested in working with VR. It featured head tracking but lacked depth perception and had an 800p resolution. The Crystal Cove prototype was shown off later that year at E3 2013. And improved those key areas. It had improved motion detection by adding a depth tracking system as well as 1080p resolution. But this model was never released to the public as it was refined into the Oculus DK2, which released July of 2014. During this time, John Carmack quit his job with ID Studios to work full-time as the CTO, Chief Technology Officer of Oculus. But then something big happened. On March 25th, 2014, between the time of pre-order and release of the DK2, Facebook bought out Oculus VR for $2 billion. The internet went up in flames, and there was a general consensus of discontent over the decision. They got accused of being a sellout and suddenly lost that personal homegrown charm of being an underdog company that had jumped on the frontier of opportunity. Despite this, Oculus insisted that they would remain working independent to Facebook and ensured fans that they would not have to worry. The final prototype of the Oculus was codenamed Crescent Bay. With better resolution, built-in audio, and 360-degree tracking, this September 2014 model was not released publicly, but was the final stepping stone to the Oculus Rift CV1. That November, Oculus collaborated with Samsung on the Gear VR, a smaller and more affordable VR experience intended not for immersive gaming but for mobile device compatibility. History was made on March 28, 2016 with the release of the Oculus Rift CV1. The introductory price of the system was $599 USD, and production continued until 2019 with over 10 million units sold between the Gear VR and the CV1 combined. The Rift turned VR from a technology of the future into a technology of the now, taking immersive worlds and fitting them into household bedrooms. But sadly, not even 2 years later, in 2017, Palmer Luckey had to leave Oculus due to politically charged controversy. He had been participating in political groups whose views did not match Facebook's, and can be quoted as saying, "It wasn't my choice to leave," to CNBC in regards to this event. Oculus co-founder Brendan E. Reeb left Oculus the next year in 2018, saying that his and Facebook's ideas for the future of Oculus was growing fundamentally different over time. This was not long after the release of the Oculus Go, an all-in-one VR headset marketed towards a more cinematic experience versus a gaming-based one. But a gaming-based all-in-one VR headset known as the Oculus Quest was announced shortly after at the Facebook 2018 F8 conference, alongside the Rift S, an improved model of the Rift with enhancements such as no longer requiring external sensors to require movement. The Quest and the Rift S launched on May 21st, 2019. These current generation models are what is sending VR into the mainstream. The Quest has made VR affordable for those who don't already have the high-spec PCs required with the Rift models. It's a standalone system that you can take anywhere, even outside if you wish. In November 2019, John Carmack stepped down from his role as CTO of Oculus VR. He posted a statement to Facebook saying that he's moving to a consulting CTO position where he will still have a voice in development, but is now focusing on artificial general intelligence. The original voices of Oculus have left the company in the hands of Facebook, but VR is growing at an alarming rate. It is now March of 2020, and we're still in a headset and tracker drought that was brought on from so many units being sold during this past holiday season. So many people acquired an Oculus for Christmas, and all their jealous friends are waiting with their wallets open for the out-of-stock button that turned blue. A new era is beginning for Oculus as Mark Zuckerberg announced Facebook Horizon, a massively multiplayer VR shared horizon set to launch this year. Whether or not Oculus is in good or bad hands is up for debate, but its history is something that we should cherish as we plug ourselves into the future. I hope you enjoyed learning the history of Oculus and are just as excited about its future as I am. If you want to talk more about this topic or anything else related to VR, then please join my Discord, link in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe to the channel and give this video a big thumbs up, because your support is what helps keep me going. I'd like to say thanks to everyone for helping me hit over 200 subscribers this past weekend. Yay! And to everyone who joined into my first VTuber Twitch stream. Don't forget to check out last week's video where I talk about HoloLive, a Japanese talent agency for cute virtual YouTubers. If you want to support the virtual reality show, then please consider donating or joining my Patreon so that I can afford things like full body tracking. Anyway, thanks for watching the virtual reality show. I've been your host, PHIA, and I'll see you on next week's episode. Bye!